I recently read Spider Boy, which came out in 2024. It made me think about who the reader of this comic is. You see, when Stan Lee invented Spider-Man in 1962, together with Steve Ditko, his goal was to create a character that teenage boys could identify with. And therefore, he chose to call him Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy. He considered Spider-Boy, but he thought that all the other superheroes of the time were called something with man, like Superman. And that is an important aspect of superheroes because the intended audience were boys, but boys don't want to be boys, they want to be men. And so Superman, Spider-Man, and so on. I found it interesting that Spider-Boy's tagline is the webless wonder. Webless, so it points to an inability. He is lacking the ability to shoot web. That is something that only Spider-Man can do. So he has a deficiency, and in other words, Spider-Boy is not the kind of man that the readers, the teenage boys, want to be. But he is on his way, and that is actually also what Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, is about. It's about transitioning from one state to another, from boy to man. And in fact, it can be argued that all superhero comics are about that, and a lot of the rest of the global culture as well. It's just that this web thing makes this transition so explicit in Spider-Man. And most explicit is it in James Cameron's script to Spider-Man the movie from the 1990s. It didn't make it into a movie. The 2002 movie was directed by Sam Raimi and written by David Koepp, but it borrows quite heavily from Cameron's script. And the most explicit passage in Cameron's script is when Peter Parker has just got the ability to shoot web, but he doesn't know what it is yet. He doesn't know what has happened because he just wakes up one morning, and I'm reading from the script here. The next day, tight on Peter as he wakes up, dun, dun, he pulls back the covers and something is causing the sheet to stick to him. He lifts it, revealing a sticky white mass completely covering him, gluing him to his bedding. It is some silky substance webbing him into the covers. He cries out in dismay, struggling to free himself from the gluey strands. Where did it come from? He notices his wrists. They are oozing a pearlescent white fluid from almost invisible slits about a quarter of an inch long. I guess you get this. This is symbolism, and if the symbolism wasn't clear enough, actual spiders do shoot their web from their wrists, but that is also where their genitals are positioned. In other words, James Cameron has just described a young man's first nocturnal emission. And if you accept that, the subsequent passage almost gets a bit X-rated. He pushes on the skin next to one of the slits, and a dark shape, the size and color of a rose thorn, emerges from beneath the skin. It shoots a jet of liquid silk into his face. It was actually Cameron's idea that Peter Parker should shoot his web from the wrists, because in the original comic he uses mechanical web shooters. And this organic web shooting thing was also included in the film from 2002. The 2002 movie doesn't include this gooey bed scene where Peter Parker wakes up and is covered in his own web under the sheets. But it does contain references to the same area of interest, so to speak. Like, for example, when Peter wakes up and he inspects his body and he realizes that it has changed because he has become much more muscular. But what makes him the most happy is when he looks down and he sees that there is change there too. Big change.
Any better this morning? Any change?
Change? Yeah. Big change.
But of course he also shoots a lot of web, and there is a scene when his aunt is asking, what are you doing? And he says that he's exercising.
Peter? What's going on in there?
I'm exercising. I'm not dressed, Aunt May.
And then we see his room, which is just full of web. It's covered in web. And in fact, that made me think of this Japanese manga, Subaru-kun wa Muramuraしてます, where there actually is a scene where the protagonist of this manga is also exercising in his room. But the fact that he is so embarrassed at being walked in on as he was exercising reveals that this should be read between the lines. It is symbolism. He did something else in his room, and I write about this in my book, but it is the same thing in Spider-Man. In other words, Peter Parker and Spider-Man, he was first webless, and then he got the ability to shoot web and shoot a lot of it. And this is a transformation that many males can, or maybe all males, can relate to. Because this is about the transition from boy to man, as I said, it is about puberty. And James Cameron even made that explicit in his script. Hopefully this will be seen correctly as a metaphor for puberty and its awakening of primal drives. And this theme about puberty is of course not the monopoly of American superhero comics. It is a theme that exists in all culture worldwide. It becomes quite pronounced in anime in Japan. I saw D.N.Angel from 1997, where when the protagonist, Niwa Daisuke, turns 14 years old, his body starts to change. Just like Spider-Man, he is, or Peter Parker, he's surprised by this change. He can't control it, and he wonders what's happening to him.
Mom, something's happening! Mom, my body's changing!
Oh, you're so handsome!
That's not it. Tell me exactly what's happening. I can't go to school and have everyone see me like this.
And in fact, Cameron's description of Peter Parker's feelings apply perfectly to Daisuke Niwa. He doesn't know what's happening to him, thinks he is a freak. His body has become a stranger.
I feel all funny. I'm burning inside. Can't breathe.
What's interesting here is that although both boys are shocked in the beginning of the transformation, both of them realize that this transformation comes with certain perks, not least when it comes to girls. Just like Peter Parker, Daisuke realizes that when he turns into Dark Mousy, or the Phantom Thief, the girls are suddenly interested in him. They think that he is maybe 17 years old, not a 14-year-old brat. So that shows that he has become a man, and it is a man that the girls want. They don't want this little kid. And another example is DNA² from 1993, where 16-year-old Momonari Junta has an allergy towards girls. So whenever he gets excited, he starts to vomit uncontrollably. In one scene, for example, in the beginning of the anime, he has managed to go home with a girl that he likes. And she says that, "I want my first time to be with you." So it's the perfect setup. And then she starts to undress. And when she does that, vomit shoots out of poor Junta's mouth like a waterfall. And she's, of course, very disappointed. She wonders, well, what are you doing, and so on. And she asks him to leave. So this is also symbolism. It is the symbol of being too, premature, simply. And this symbolism is also confirmed by Junta's friends, his male friends. They meet sometimes and watch adult videos. But they have stopped inviting him because they know that Junta will just vomit all over the place. So even there, he just can't control himself. So this is very fun. Junta's solution, just like for Daisuke, is to transform into another character. And this also happens involuntarily. He can't control it. And Junta turns into Mega Playboy. And when he turns into Mega Playboy, no girl can resist him. So this is again the dream of going from boy to man and to be liked by the girls. It is Puberty 101 for the male viewership of this anime. So if we go back to Spider-Boy, with this background, his tagline, "The Webless Wonder," suddenly becomes very logical. Because although technically he says that he has not yet been trusted with web shooters, but it is quite clear that at 10 he is not yet able to shoot web. because being able equals being a man, something that Spider-Boy by definition is not. That's even in the name. But maybe this webless thing also signals something childish and innocent. Maybe that is the allure of this comic, in fact. Because Spider-Boy doesn't have to care about girls. He doesn't have to care about sticky white body fluids. Spider-Boy has neither adult desires nor adult responsibilities. And that sort of makes Spider-Boy the ultimate escape from the responsibilities of everyday life. Because we live in times of wars, viruses, natural disasters, inflation, everything. Who wants to be a man in that time? Well, maybe teenage boys still want to be men, but the rest of us, we want to be a boy. Women want to be boys. Adult men want to be boys. Maybe even children want to remain boys for a while. And I would conclude this little observation by saying that we don't need another hero. We need a boy. Society needs a boy. A spider boy.